Welcome to Oz Talk.
Hi, Ryan.
Hey, Tori, how are you?
I'm so excited to talk more about Wicked. I will take any excuse to talk about Wicked ad nauseum.
I figured, and without even checking in, we don't even need to check in with each other, but we both showed up wearing our Wicked gear. I have an OG t-shirt. This is from the 2003 opening. This was the Glinda popular shirt.
And this is the old, this W logo is the old logo. They're not using this in any advertising now. This was that original. I don't know if you remember, there was a convention where they showed this W. But there is a creator on Instagram selling these, and I love them. And guess who else loved them?
Who?
Cynthia Erivo. She said, "Where can I get one?"
That's amazing. Of course. I love it. I love how they can come to you, as we all can. Go to Tori to find out where to get, what's happening. You are the latest and greatest breaking news in Oz. So we're going to cover this Screen Rant article that came out online and said that there are 10 major challenges that the movie Wicked has to overcome. And I read it and I thought, oh my God, we need to discuss this. And why just do it on the phone when we can do an Oz Talk? So this was published 3 days ago. But before we get to that, I want to show you something that I found. I was just cleaning through some old stuff in storage, and I found this. I don't remember where I got it. You might recognize it, but I have this witch's hat.
Oh,
have you seen this before?
I haven't. That must have been for one of the Wicked Day celebrations.
Yeah, it might have been a Wicked Day because I was there, obviously from the start, and but I thought it was pretty cool, and it's neat to have like a witch hat that's got the same embroidery as what we see on the sweatshirts and the t-shirts and the rest of it and the hats.
I've never seen that.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so there that exists. I wonder if that's something I need to find out. It might have been a Wicked Day, or it might have been a promotion they gave out like for Halloween, because even before Wicked Day launched, they did stuff like around Halloween time in the lottery and stuff, and so that kind of thing. But anyway, so that was my little fun Wicked find in the closet.
And I found a little something online as well. I'm gonna have to stand up to show you, but some movie theaters have started advertising, and I went ahead and got myself a copy of the Wicked poster that came out with Sophie Holland's gorgeous photography. Now, one thing that was revealed on this poster that I did not realize is, first of all, Wicked does not have a rating as of now, but also Wicked is getting an IMAX release because it says in IMAX at the bottom of this poster. So that is going to be something.
That we'll have to see it all the ways, right? That's very cool. For those who might be able to see here, I found on eBay, they were selling some of the smaller. This is an 11x17 version of the movie poster right there. I also got one of the bigger ones in a different way, less organically than you did, Tori, but I'm excited we'll both have those because it is such a cool teaser photo. I think universally it's loved. While there are always, people with opinions, as long as there are people, about many things, I had not heard anything bad other than the funny joke. It's not even bad, but it's that funny joke about the Glinda dress being compared to meat, right?
Yeah, they were comparing it to the Italian meat prosciutto, but up close with all of the detail in the photo and in physical form, there is no mistaking that dress for deli meat.
Hey, Mark. Yes, very cool. Oh, thank you for liking our intro. Someone's saying, this is Daniel saying, hey, Tori.
Hi, Daniel.
Thanks for watching, friends. Glad you're here. So why don't we get right to it? We will look at this presentation here we've got for slides. It is Screen Rant. And what I want to do is I'm going to put us over here. Oops. Oops.
Ooh.
Wait, yes. This is how we're doing. This is how it's going today.
It's
Like
live.
wait, this one? What did I do wrong? Look, oh, Tori, look, we are like shifting. Oh, maybe this is what I need to do. Solo layout. Oh my God.
Here we go.
There we go. Hello. Sorry about that. Anyway, this is what's going on. Screen Rant published 3 days ago this article, 10 major challenges the Wicked movie needs to overcome in parts 1 and 2. And so as we were looking at this, you know, I thought, let's talk about it. Number 10 is Wicked's CGI and visuals. What is your first reaction to this as something that the film needs to overcome?
Yeah, I disagree. And I know in the article they were comparing some of the visuals to Oz the Great and Powerful. What people who are unfamiliar with the production so far, what they may not know is that we're looking at physical sets. They were enhanced with CGI, but they're actually there. That's the major difference between Oz the Great and Powerful and the Wicked films. They actually physically built these sets practically. The actors are interacting with real environments. And so they look like they are so CGI'd, but they're actually real. Mwah. Hi, Tiff.
Yes, they are real. And I mean, for what we're seeing in terms of wide shots and big and building out, and of course, the winged monkeys, and we don't know what's going to happen yet with Dr. Dillerman and the rest of it. Like, I mean, the alternative is practical effects, as we saw in the original Wizard of Oz. And I mean, and there is some of that, you know, we see that when necessary, but at a time where I'm a professional film critic, and at a time where special effects just improve so rapidly, and even animation so rapidly in the industry, where it blurs the line between what looks real and what looks CGI, you know, and because of that, why wouldn't you use the greatest technology available to you as a filmmaker today? That's got to be thrilling and exciting. It's a way to look at Oz differently, kind of like the moral of the show. It's looking at things another way. We've got the Wizard of Oz for practical effects. We've seen them go somewhat overboard with Oz the Great and Powerful, and then it's now we're getting somewhat right. Now we're getting this Wicked adaptation that looks absolutely incredible. My Toto is giving me a hard time over here today, but she's brilliant. And she's
Hi, Toto.
Hi, Toto.
You know, the other thing is, lest we forget, the setting of Oz for Oz the Great and Powerful, for the Wizard of Oz and Wicked are totally different. Oz is framed very differently in each of those stories as a setting. So they shouldn't look the same.
Exactly. And also, some people were criticizing that, you know, based on the teaser trailer that we saw, that it looks undersaturated or oversaturated. And what I find is, first of all, depending upon the screen you're looking at it and the settings of that, whether it's on your phone or your 4K TV or the rest of it, now we're starting to see it released at some theaters. We're seeing it, it's on the Apple TV previews platform. The teaser is actually up there now. And so that's fantastic. But I also think, as far as like, I have my expectation as an all things Oz lover, as I know you are, Tori, is I want it to look like an Oz I would like to visit. So I always use the comparison between, regardless of what you think of the stories or the films themselves or the characters, if you look at the land of Oz in The Wizard of Oz or Oz the Great and Powerful, I would choose to visit those locations before I would visit the locations in Return to Oz, just because talk about unsaturated and dark. I mean, and that was a dark fantasy. And some people even say that looks more like the L. Frank Baum books, like come to life as to this fantasy that we're seeing. But what we've seen so far of Wicked is like, I not only want to visit, but I want to stay there. You know, I think it looks perfect. It's living up to my expectations for color and beauty and opulence and stuff. And Toto, you want to go too, Toto? You want to go too?
Toto too?
Yes. Toto too? Yes, Toto wants to go. Okay. Here, Toto, here's a treat for you.
Well, and here's another point. You know, we are supposed to be hearing about an Oz that is becoming less and less colorful, with Elphaba standing out because she remains colorful in appearance, but also in spirit. You know, this Oz thematically, they may be using color as a thematic exercise as well. We don't know yet.
Exactly, we don't know yet, and so, but I kind of want it to stay just as is. I think it's perfect so far. Let's look back here and see number 9, which is Wicked needs to sell itself as a musical. Now, this is speaking to, and this is what's so interesting about the movie business and the industry, is the movie industry is so fickle. You know, a movie like Chicago comes out and wins Best Picture as a musical, which is the first time in a very long time, and suddenly musicals get greenlit. Then a movie comes out that's a musical and doesn't do well at the box office, like Cats, and everybody's like, "Oh, the audience doesn't like movie musicals." It's not true. You know, there's a lot to be said about marketing and also about audience expectation and, you know, pleasing everyone. You know, the theater goers, if people didn't like musicals, they wouldn't go see them on live stage, or there would be no one that would be watching them streaming or otherwise, right, as movies. And so the problem with this, it's all timely, and this point is speaking to what just happened recently with The Color Purple movie musical and Mean Girls the movie musical, because neither were marketed as musicals in their commercials and trailers. They didn't really focus on that. So some people bought tickets and went to see them thinking it was a proper remake of both of those previous films, and then when music started, some people walked out because they really didn't even know. I was really surprised by The Color Purple movie musical that people didn't know there was a music, right? That was just very strange, because there was. Well, same with Mean Girls. There's the musical, you know, it was the movie, then the musical. Anyway, you know what I'm saying, Tori, right?
I do. And I think it would be pretty hard for people to mistake Wicked for anything but a musical, especially since they ended the first teaser trailer with the battle cry of Defying Gravity. But also, it's based on the most Broadway show on Broadway right now and for the last 20 years. So
Yes.
it would be very difficult for an audience to miss at this point that Wicked is a musical. But on top of that, it's based a lot. We know Wicked is based on Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West by Gregory Maguire. But let's face it, the musical has both feet firmly planted in the general lore of the MGM film.
Right.
And what is the MGM film? It's a
musical.
So
Exactly.
I think audiences will very readily accept an Oz musical. Even Oz the Great and Powerful threw a couple songs in there just because.
It's true, because of the wonderful things they do. And you know, we know we've discussed before that Oz tends to work better when musicalized. And so I think that the expectation and knowing that so much more comes to life with songs and with the emotion and that. And yeah, it's going to be great. I agree that I don't think it's going to have that problem, because even if they didn't market it as a musical, I think people still are going to expect and know above Mean Girls and The Color Purple. So that's just kind of like, you know, people need to get over the way those recent ones were.
They also hired Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, two people known mainly for the fact that they can sing. So if audiences miss that one, that's on them.
Exactly, right? So true. All right, then. Next we have, this one says what? The Wizard.
Wicked needs to adapt. The Wicked adaptation needs to expand the plot to fill up 2 movies.
Right. Okay, so expanding the Wicked story into 2 films. Now, there's some people that just don't get it. I think this is the case of you can't please everyone, right? Because if it's a 2-hour and 45-minute movie, people will complain. If it's a 90-minute movie, people will complain about what's cut out. You know, it comes down to, what do you want? Those of us like you and I that love this so much, I mean, I would take a new Wicked movie every year. Let's do it 10 parts. You know, let's expand it. You know, let's do this and a TV series, and then more movies, and then remake them, and just keep just more Oz, more Wicked. We want all of that. And so I think what this gives the opportunity to show us in the film adaptation is to keep everything we love and expect, and then surprise us too with something new. I mean, we already saw that in the trailer, in the teaser. We did not expect to see Dorothy and Toto in the teaser. That's something that we were hoping we'd see in the films. Didn't think we'd get to see them in the teaser, let alone a trailer. You know, so it's a great option, I think, to hopefully give everybody what they want.
You know, and Screen Rant seems to be expressing some sort of concern that it will be a struggle to expand Wicked to fill 2 films, but actually it will not they would probably have enough material for 7 films, because not only do we have buckets and buckets of source material, but the Wicked Broadway show is 2 hours and 45 minutes at Broadway musical speed, which is very accelerated. The medium of theater requires that you are constantly moving because you're keeping an audience of 1,000 people or more engaged for a very long period of time. Now imagine that slowed down so that you can get reaction shots and close-ups and wide shots of these big, beautiful sets. You've got an extra hour just right there. So they're not going to have a problem filling 2 films at all.
No, exactly so. And I think it's going to, Tiffany's weighing in, she's saying it's almost like they don't know about the book content. Exactly. There's so much, and whether they want to creatively come up with new things and again surprise us, which I find really interesting. I've seen Wicked on stage 46 times, and if it was an exact adaptation, like very faithful, like when the Harry Potter books were adapted and things were cut out, but really nothing new, that's fine. But this has the opportunity to really go, and we know Miss Coddle's a new character, not even from the books. And I love Settle. I trust Winnie Holzman, Stephen Schwartz, Gregory Maguire, of course, as the bomb of this series, right?
And we're going to see more from Baum. I know they're going to incorporate more from Baum's universe. And let's not forget, they're adding 2 songs. They're not cutting, they're adding. So
that's coming up right here. So next we have this, which is living up to the old ones, the Wicked songs. And this is kind of like, I think this one is their filler. They wanted their list to be a list of 10 instead of 9. And so they said this because if you read what they're writing here in Screen Rant, actually, they're basically saying, yeah, there's a couple new songs, but they're probably going to be just as good because they're written by Stephen Schwartz. So of course they're going to be just as good.
Bottom of the barrel of my concerns is whether or not Stephen Schwartz can write a couple of new good songs.
Exactly. I'm already hoping he's writing new songs for Wicked Part 3. I want these 2 movies to do so well at the box office that they all decide to come back and just keep going and make this a really fantastic franchise. Okay. Number 5, right? Is that 5? I can't see. I've got the live. Is your live thing covering the number?
It is, but let's just guess. It's a number. And go ahead and read the title.
Okay, yes. It's Dr. Dillamond's storyline. The story of Elphaba's favorite teacher is difficult to adapt. Is it? I don't
disagree strongly with that.
Yeah.
And please, this is a spoiler warning. If you don't know anything about Dr. Dillamond's plot, cover your ears. I don't think it's hard to adapt at all if we're going from the stage play. As a matter of fact, we know for sure, because Bowen Yang revealed this in an interview, they had a puppeteer on set doing a Dr. Dillamond puppet. So they had something physical to play off of. They're not playing to green screen or somebody in a blue suit. And they read the lines live on stage. So it's not going to be difficult from a performance perspective. And I think actually you cannot make the story of Wicked without including Dr. Dillamond's plot. He kind of sends Elphaba on her entire arc.
Yes. Tiffany, thank you. That was number 6.
Thanks,
so,
Tiff.
What would we do without you? You should be here. I agree. Dr. Dillamond is so profound and has such an impact on Elphaba's character development and on the path she takes. And it speaks to her passion for animal rights and also to social justice and many things. It aligns with who she is so much that to have cut it out altogether or really changed it, would be a major disservice to the story in of itself and Elphaba. But I don't think it's any more difficult to adapt than any other character, really, that, it's going to be CGI. We think they're using a puppet. We know he's going to be female this time. Some people he's not the most favorite on stage in the show. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of the song Something Bad. That song could be cut. It could be in a different key. It could be totally rearranged. You've got the original composer working on this. I think we're going to hear a lot of new arrangements. Whenever you hear a movie soundtrack compared to the original Broadway cast recording of something, the way it's recorded and mastered sounds so much more full and different and vibrant. You also have the original conductor working from the Broadway show, Stephen Aramis, working on this soundtrack. So it's whatever they do is going to be so true to the spirit and history of this show. And it's just going to be bigger and better. And as far as what they're going to do with the CGI character, I mean, come on. I mean, look, I don't think for all the people didn't like Oz the Great and Powerful, people did enjoy Finley. And
For sure.
Finley and China Girl.
which was a very similar process. They used a marionette on set and CGI, and those two things combined can allow for a lot of depth. I think the thing that people maybe take umbrage with Dr. Dillamond on stage is they don't get a lot of time to bond, Elphaba and Dr. Dillamond. So perhaps the rush of that relationship development makes his arc feel less fulfilling when she reacts to what happens to him. They will have time to build that up in the film a lot more. And it really will also come down to who is cast, because we don't know yet, and who the performer is and what kind of performance they bring to the role will make all the difference.
Well, I just love that Bowen said that it's a female, because then we don't have to worry anymore about James Corden.
The puppeteer was a female. That doesn't necessarily mean whoever loops in the voice will be a female, but fingers crossed.
All right, fair. Yeah, well, I would go for a female Dillamond, and
for
also,
sure.
I think that you know, someone Tyler Knox said cough Adina.
She did hint it in on her Twitter feed, so.
But I still want to see Adina as Elphaba's mom. I think would be really cool if she wants to, or maybe who knows. But with Dr. Dillamond, lastly, I just think, we know that in the book and in the first during San Francisco out of town tryouts that Dr. Dillamond passed, and they had the funeral and everything, and the act 2 black dress that Nessarose wears on stage was originally Glinda's funeral dress from that scene. And so maybe they're going to get, maybe that's something that helps expand part 1, is maybe adding that element to it and lighting more of a spark under Elphaba and putting some of that back. That could be really cool, right? Yeah, you are here. You're like drinking the tea for that, right?
I'm sipping the tea. I think actually it's more poignant having Elphaba discover him in Act 2, I think, really. And the fact that just because she is giving in to the thought of, oh, wouldn't it be nice to fit in? Wouldn't it be nice to stop running? She's giving in to that self-serving thought process. And then boom, she's snapped out of it because she remembers what she's fighting for. And I think that's actually really important.
That's true. That's true. You're right. So that maybe instead of the death, also, death is pretty dark, right? So instead of that, maybe you're right, just that discovery of he lost the ability to speak, which also harkens back to the book, and the stage show, Animal Should Be Seen, Not Heard. But that revelation is quite powerful. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Okay, this has to be number 5, and this is being compared to The Wizard of Oz, and this, in so much as that everything is because The Wizard of Oz as a film is just so iconic. But as long as you're not having whoever it is that we saw the back of played as Dorothy sing Over the Rainbow, I don't think there's going to be any specific comparisons. We already saw the Yellow Brick Road in terms of the color of the yellow looks very similar. Are you worried about this at all?
Only so far as there are just so many people out there still who don't know what Wicked is about. The thing I've discovered the most about the Wicked movie trailer is the number of people that came into my comments on TikTok to say, what is the plot of Wicked? I don't know. So, and asking me, do you need to see the show, or is seeing The Wizard of Oz sufficient? So, and by the way, if you haven't seen Wicked on stage or read the book, as long as you've seen The Wizard of Oz, you're fine. You'll understand what's going on. So I guess there is no way to avoid making a film set in Oz and not comparing it. Right. There's just no way. It's inevitable. The 1939 film is iconic. It's something that almost everyone has seen. And if you're going to make a film set in Oz, that is the standard that everybody compares it to and holds it up to. Personally, as an Oz fanatic and somebody who has studied the fandom, the Oz multiverse, if you will, I've become very used to compartmentalizing. I think you have to, because there's so many different strands of lore and canon. And Wicked is its own canon. It's not going to line up. But if you think about if you think about The Wizard of Oz as the propaganda version of Wicked, it's the thing that the Wizard put out as PR, like this is the story, but Wicked is actually what happened. You'll be able to reconcile the two, no problem. Right,
exactly. I think that this won't have the trap of falling into the iconography of The Wizard of Oz. Again, what we saw from the flash of the 5 friends with Toto in front of the wizard's head in the teaser trailer, like it's close. It looks like it nods to the original illustrations. You've got, an animal lion as opposed to a personified one. And, even though Toto isn't Karen Terrier, but you see the silver shoes, true to the Wicked and the original Oz book, like it's enough that like, okay, you get that it's the Wizard of Oz, but it's not 1939's Wizard of Oz. Fine, it's close enough, and harkens back. It gives you that energy. I think we're going to be comparing it more to the stage show. And for those, and this is just, it's so different, it's so vibrant, it's so much more filled out and fully realized in terms of environment and atmosphere and the rest of it, that it's like, it's going to be hard to even compare to what we saw on stage. And also Ariana and Cynthia are so brilliantly making them their own and honoring the material from what we know so far and have heard and seen, that I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem there. And lastly, it's just like, for those who are asking you what it's about and know the Wizard of Oz but don't know the story of Wicked, for me, I would think that the hardest thing would be to accept the fact the Wicked Witch of the West is not wicked, that she's not evil. That would be the one part, but that's the whole surprise and the whole point, And so when you realize it's the prequel, it's a prequel, and it is reimagining, of what a prequel could be, and this character is, and it's Gregory Maguire's take on her backstory, then go along for the ride, right?
Absolutely. And, again, this is the story of what happens before Dorothy dropped in. It's the story of what you think you know about the Wizard of Oz. It's turning it on its head. It kind of set the tone for all of those films like Maleficent and the like, that inverts the story. And if the audience goes in with at least that knowledge, I don't think they'll compare it too much to the Wizard of Oz.
Yes. Next, we have number 4, combining and more, adapting the Wicked musical and book. Well, it gives them more to work with.
It gives them a lot more to work with. And I really, people who haven't read the book really don't understand how drastically different the flavors of the two projects are. The Wicked novel was just the framework for the overall story, like the bullet points. But in terms of flavor, they are totally different.
Mm-hmm. Totally different. Yes. The show is really dark. The show is really light. The book is much more dark and mature. And this, again, is adapting the show. So tonally, it's going to be the show. And we know that they're going to draw back from what Cynthia has said, bits from the book. So we just have to wait and see and look forward to that,
The things I want them to bring in more from the books are more character development. For example, I would love to see Bach's character expanded upon. He has a much more prevalent role in the Wicked novel. And if you're going to go ahead and cast a talent like Ethan Slater, you best use him.
Right. That brings us to number 3 here, which is the complicated characters, especially the wizard. And I know you're a big fan of Ethan's, as am I. Loved him in SpongeBob. Cannot wait to see him as Bach. I know you got to see him recently and meet him in Spamalot.
Yes, that was so thrilling.
That's amazing. I agree. I'm more excited about the wizard for sure. I love Jeff Goldblum. I can't wait to hear him do the songs, but also I think seeing a little bit more, maybe more between the mysterious man and the mother, maybe a little bit more between Morrible and the wizard and their planning, some more scene work there. But I mostly really want to see Nessa. I want to see if she's as one note as her character arc kind of is in the show, where she's just a little bit of a brat and narcissistic. But she obviously has to do that, but are they going to give her a little bit more nuance, a little bit more heart, a little bit more of conscience at some point? I would really love to see that in whatever way Winnie Holzman and Stephen Schwartz decide to come up with.
Very interesting point. It really, again, when talking about Nessa Rose on stage, comes down to which performer is playing her. The actress and the way she chooses to frame Nessa Rose in Act 1 is really different from person to person. You can plant those seeds very early on if you try to. And I noticed in my most recent trip to see it, so many little things, especially during the Ozdust ballroom scene, because that's when Nessa actually exits that scene, is after Elphaba bursts through, which I never noticed before because this performer happened to look around and then get visibly upset that Elphaba was ruining her moment with Bach and angrily wheels off. So it really comes down to choice in terms, your theatrical choices. And also in some of those behind the scenes photos, we saw Marissa Bodie in scenes with Elphaba and Glinda off doing recreational activities with those rackets for whatever sport they were playing in that scene.
Yeah.
So I think she's going to get more screen time and more bonding time with the characters. We'll get to know her better. And I'm really looking forward to that. But Jeff Goldblum was the casting I did not know I needed before I found out he was playing the wizard. I mean, so inspired. He is so charismatic. You would believe he could take over a country.
Yes, it's so true. It's so true. Also, can we just let's appreciate the casting here, because so much is rightly focused on recently in times and continuing moving forward about inclusivity and casting. And I just love that we have, we have a gay Fiyero, a gay man playing Fiyero. We have a Black woman playing Elphaba. We have an Italian woman playing Glinda. We have, right? Yes. We have a Jewish man playing the wizard. We have an Asian goddess playing Madame Morrible. I mean, it is so beautifully inclusive in the casting, and also the right people. So whether or not they were intending to go and be as inclusive as an ensemble or not, it is, and they're also singularly the absolute best people for these roles. So it's just kind of, and Ethan's a redhead. There's another minority, right?
I feel so represented because it turns out Ariana Grande and I are from the same parts of Italy. So I'm like, yes, my people are on screen. But yeah,
and Nessa's disability in real life too, as well.
Yes. And they specifically cast that way, which was, in my opinion, an excellent choice. I really feel like this was, in terms of casting, John Chu just nailed it. I mean, there's not a dud in the bunch.
Beyond. All right, and Chandler's saying, can't wait to watch the Oscars this Sunday, March 10th. Hopefully the thing about the official Wicked trailer is true. Wouldn't that? Oh my God, I think
it's early. I think it's early. Now, I called the last one wrong. I didn't think we were going to get as robust a teaser trailer as we got during the Super Bowl. So what do I know? But I think we'll see something, if not a repeat of the trailer we've already seen, perhaps with a couple new clips. A full trailer 8 months ahead is early. I think the earliest we'll see a full trailer is the summer.
I would agree. That sounds reasonable. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing the teaser play again a few times, or even having. I mean, I know Adina just spoke about her Adele Dazeem moment, the 10-year anniversary of that, that was one of my favorite things.
How does that happen?
I know. I cannot figure it out to this day. But who knows? Maybe Cynthia and Ariana will be at the Oscars, presenting or something. They should co-present Best Picture.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yes, because next year I think that in March of 2025 we're going to see Wicked Part 1 win Best Picture. I'm manifesting it right now. So
I'm with you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so that is that we did this one. No,
not yet.
Go ahead.
Okay, so all the best songs will be in the first Wicked movie, so the second part of Wicked might be disappointing due to the soundtrack?
Yeah, this is the dumbest one.
Okay, wait, Screen Rant. We need to come closer, Screen Rant. We need to have a talk. How do I explain this? No! What are you talking about? No good deed?
Wait. Let's not forget, I think the favorite song of all from the entire show is For Good. It is the most good. It is the most performed. It is the most, people want it at their weddings. It's about best friends. It's about love. It encapsulates everything. It's the one song that both Kristen and Adina do, in concert and bring other people up to perform with them. It is the most iconic song from the show. Well, I guess Defying Gravity is equally iconic, as is Popular. Maybe they're just saying that because Popular and Defying Gravity both in part 1 are great, and they are big songs. But you've got For Good, plus don't forget we haven't heard the 2 songs yet that are written. And
so yes, the thing they're not the thing they're discounting. If you're only familiar with the original Broadway cast recording, you don't know that there is a Wicked Witch of the East song that isn't heard on the soundtrack. You also have No Good Deed is
how about As Long As Your Mind? As Long As Your Mind like fluctuates is my favorite song from the show. And by the way, it was a trunk song. It was a trunk song. That song was previously written for something else. Stephen wrote it and then cut it and never used it, and then brought that melody back and turned it into As Long As Your Mind for the show.
Wicked Witch of the East will always be one of my favorites because of the emotional importance of that song. And it really just, whatever facade Nessa had left, she strips it completely away, makes this whole moment about her. It's fabulous. But also you have two new songs, one of which will be a solo for Ariana Grande, written by Stephen Schwartz. It's this point just makes my blood boil. There's absolutely no way.
Exactly. Tiffany's saying, and I'm still hoping that Nessa's song gets extended into a full for the film. Yes, yes. I mean, and yeah, that's going to be interesting too. Because, well, can we do spoiler alert?
Spoiler alert.
Okay, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Shut your ears
Yes.
if you don't want to hear.
Right. So at that point, Nessa is singing and she's walking and standing and looking in the mirror, and we know that this actress has a disability and is wheelchair bound, and so that's going to be some very interesting filmmaking of how they have her up and moving. Will she be dancing even, and the rest of it? I think it's going to be very exciting if they extend that. Tiffany says she loves it so much. She feels like everyone here is in the know. I know. I loved who Tyler wrote this. He said, okay, Screen Rant, go sit in the corner and think about what you've done. So true. Chandler's like, have they even seen Wicked the Musical?
Probably not. Or if they have, they've probably heard the original. Whoever wrote this article has probably heard the original Broadway cast recording, maybe perhaps is not as familiar with the source material, because I don't know how else you could say that.
Yeah, for me, it's going to be harder. Like, yes, we have to wait. We're all going to want part 2 right away. We have to wait a year. Okay. But I feel like to wait a year to hear Cynthia and Ari sing For Good together, that is going to be so hard to do after our appetites have all been whetted with part 1. That's for me the biggest challenge.
Agreed.
All right. And then number 1, Screen Rant has said the Broadway show is beloved. And that is true. It is the 4th longest running show in Broadway history. It just celebrated its 20th anniversary. Tori, thank you for being there and sharing some swag with me from that. But there were worries about the show Chicago continuing to run, or even Lion King, and there's a Mufasa Lion King movie coming out later this year with different songwriters, I think. But I don't think that the success of a film will impact the stage tour or Broadway run. If anything, it can continue to complement it. And as we're seeing, this is different enough visually, interpretation wise. There's going to be nuance, new characters, new bits of information that we're getting. So I think that the film is going to give us everything we love and more, and surprise us in a way, kind of like, I want to compare it to the Barbie movie. Even at best case scenario, you hoped for the Barbie movie to be funny, that the adults would laugh in the audience and be entertained, while the kids, the little girls they're bringing along, would enjoy it. What they didn't expect was that little boys, little girls, big boys, big girls, big women, big men, adults, were not only laughing, but crying and feeling. It surprised them by how deep and poignant it was. I expect the Wicked movies to do just the same, because on stage, it already makes you laugh and cry. Now with an expansion, I think it's going to surprise everyone even more.
Yeah, if anything, I think the film and the show will feed one another. I think people who haven't seen the show and maybe have been waiting because they're interested, but only in kind of a fringe way, may have that push to go see it. And I think people who, really love the Broadway show are of course going to go and see what they did with the film. And I know for me, I'm returning to the show before I see the film, just so I'm super fresh and ready. I can't see it affecting it. It is so Broadway the musical. When you go to New York, when I hear tourists making plans to come to New York, it's on the top of the list of things they want to do. And I rarely go and see an empty seat. And I don't think that's going to change. Phantom certainly didn't lose any audience members when a film was made. I don't think there's anything that is going to slow that show down.
Exactly.
Here we are 20 years later, and it's still one of the hardest tickets to get in New York. Mm-hmm. How does that happen?
No, exactly. It's so true. Well, this has been so fun. Screen Rant, thanks for giving us the fodder for today's Oz talk. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please like this video, share it, leave some comments for us. We will try to respond and interact. This has been really great, and we look forward to seeing you all next time. Until then, Tori, to Oz.
To Oz.